My next one is the hope of all people who go to the movies. I wish that Santa would help Marvel figure it out this year.
Yeah. I'm going to throw in some sound bits here. This is a note for me. Jing, 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 ringle bells, whatever. Okay, mashup. Ho, ho, ho. We're not going to keep that in.
No, we're gonna keep that in.
We're going to keep it in. Madison, happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas,
Merry Chrysler.
Merry Chrysler.
What are you doing to celebrate this holiday?
Dude, I'll get Christmas off, but I'm working. I just got two jobs. So I'm working at a coffee shop and I'm working at an outdoor clothing brand store up in Park City. And I'm working a lot of next week. I'll tell you that. A lot of
Yeah,
Christmas week.
busy with all the Christmas
I'm not
shoppers.
stoked on it. Yeah.
You're going to be taking Christmas just to rest and relax then.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I will be with my family in Louisiana at this point.
Ooh.
They moved there a couple years ago.
Of all the places in the world, Louisiana, I wouldn't put that on my top five of places to move. And maybe that's on me. Maybe I just don't understand what the allure of Louisiana is.
There's no allure. No. My dad's job moved in there. I thought I'm like, closer to New Orleans. No, no, it's 5.5 hours from New Orleans.
Holy
Closest
cow.
big city is Dallas at 3 hours. Woof. Either way, hanging out with the family, hopefully watching some good movies, relaxing, having good food. We're gonna go see a Christmas Day movie. It's kind of like the Thanksgiving thing. I
Yeah.
think we could go see A Complete Unknown. Timothée
Yeah.
Chalamet playing Bob Dylan. Another Bob Dylan movie. I'm kind of lobbying for Nosferatu though. I'm like, hey, why not have a spooky Christmas? I don't know. Yeah.
Do that, and then let me know how it is. Because I'm not really a spooky horror guy, as we know.
Yeah.
But I know Nosferatu's like, a classic piece of cinema.
My friend Schrader, who you know, we actually did our own Nosferatu remake a couple years ago. More so like a short film called Nosferatu in Space, which I will post about because it's just fun. It was a short film fest. It was all of 2 minutes long, so I'll make
Oh,
sure
that's
to
fun.
post Nosferatu
Yeah.
in Space in honor of the new one. Well, let's talk about this for Christmas. We're going to go over three of our wishes for movies and TV in the next year. We'll go back and forth with our three
Yeah.
wishes, just things that we'd like to see in the world of movies and TV change in 2025. There's a ton of
Yeah.
movies coming out next year. I could read off a bit of the list, but Fantastic Four, Superman, 28 years later, the sequel to Megan, How to Train Your Dragon, pseudo live action, Alio, New Karate Kid. We've got Ballerina from the world of John Wick. We've got Mickey 17, Minecraft. Oof. This new movie
Oof.
called Novocaine that looks fun. I'll post about that soon. We've got Paddington in Peru, Captain America, Brave New World. We've got The Wolfman from Universal, Better Man, the really weird, totally uncalled for biopic about Robbie Williams, played by a CGI monkey. Speaking of CGI, Lilo and Stitch, it's a weird year, so let's talk
Oof.
about our wishes. You kick off the first one.
Okay, mine. This is me just expressing a taste, preference, even and if I could create an artificial intelligence virus to get loaded into all of Hollywood studios' computers and they could just burn all of these movies from people's hard drives so they couldn't actually release in 2025, that'd be great. I am so over live action reboots of animated movies.
Yes, sir.
How to Train Your Dragon, Lilo and Stitch. I don't want those. I like no one is asking for them at all.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just studio cash grabs to keep it like a piece of IP relevant. And I'm really over the idea that live action is a superior medium to animation because, even with Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix, people are just like, oh my gosh, I would love to see like a action adaptation. But the truth is, when something is animated and it's animated really well and it's using the medium of animation really well, a live action adaptation is actually going to just make it worse.
Yeah.
Like it just is gonna be worse. There's no like bending an avatar is designed to be seen in animation. It's like it's beautiful because it's animated. To see it in live action is gonna look janky no matter what you do. How to Train Your Dragon was beautiful because it was animated.
Yeah.
And we do not need a live action reboot of that movie. Take the money you were going to spend on that and come up with an original story.
Yeah.
Just like come up with an original story. And so my first Christmas wish is that Santa burns off of all Hollywood hard drives every live action reboot of an animated feature.
I think your wish comes from a good place. Box office for Mufasa is expected to be beaten by Sonic the Hedgehog. By at
Good.
least by a little bit. And here's the thing, the first reviews for Mufasa have come out and they're bad. The early
No shit.
all the pre-screens have come out. It's right now got a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now that's just not going to stop the average American with children who want them to be quiet for 2 hours to go somewhere and just watch a movie,
Yeah.
which is what happened with Moana 2 the last couple weeks. But on a $200 million budget, I would love to see this movie barely cross 100 million and be done.
Yeah.
Because of what you're saying of not only is it a slap in the face for these movies and shows that had artful animation and people really taking time, blood, sweat, and tears to create these beautiful backdrops, characters, vistas, action scenes, to then be like, you know what though? What if we just computer animated it? But even calling it live action is funny because it's all just CGI. It's not really live action, right? It's
Yeah.
CGI with a couple people. Anyways, I'm with you on this one. It needs to stop. I hope
Yeah,
Mufasa doesn't do that well.
did you see some of the leaked set photos from Moana?
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, I'm
It's
just like,
terrible.
in what world do we need Moana 2 and then the next year to come out the live action Moana? It's insanity. Hollywood, Disney, get it together.
It speaks to the fear of the businessmen who realize that what they've been trying to do is not working. And rather than talk to more creative creators who are like, hey, do something bold instead, they're like, you know what? Never mind. Full blown sequel trail, full blown live action remakes. We're going to squeeze every last ounce out of these things until no one wants to ever see them again. And that's what they're doing.
They're just adding more sticks to the fire of a class war. That's what it is.
They're doing a good job. And Lilo and Stitch. Just call a spade, right? Lilo's older sister, Nani, great in the animated show, keeping the house in order and a funny character. I saw who they casted. I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. Why is she completely whitewashed and stick skinny
Yeah.
and like all the things that wasn't in animation? Let it be what it's
Yeah.
going to be. You just don't run into these problems. And to have a CGI Stitch, it's again washed out color grading. It looks gross. And I'm like, unnecessary. Unnecessary.
Unnecessary. I will. Lilo and Stitch was such a seminal movie for me growing up. It was just a formative piece of media, and I will not be giving Disney my money to go watch this.
I haven't with any of the live action since Jungle Book. I saw the first one and I was like, this is a waste of my time. Never saw
Yeah.
The Lion Kings, the rest of it. And for anyone who cares, just see something else. For all those who really want new ideas, prove you want new ideas and go see different movies.
Vote with your dollar.
Go with your dollar. For my first wish, I'm going to quote the meme and the quote, whatever else. Lord, I have seen what you've done for someone else, and I want that for me. Lord, I have seen what you have done for the horror genre, and I want that for comedies. Everyone and their sister is writing a horror short or a horror film, and they're selling it to Screambox, and they're doing everything under the sun just to write and produce cheap horror that they hope to make big money on. And the studios noticed this again the last 5 years, 10 years, and they have just been greenlighting the shit out of all of these horror films, just hoping to make big bucks. Okay. Now there's too many horror films. I met with an indie director last night. We went out and got drinks and chatted with my producing partner, creative partner. And that was the thing we all talked about. We went to a networking event last month at the Academy Museum, and every table we were at, somebody had a horror film script. And it was like, okay, there's only so many scaries. Stop with the horror films. Let's take all this creative energy and let's write comedies. Let's do them cheap and let's make money on comedies. And that is my hope. I hope that some of these people will take the creative energies and be like, we don't need a 15th slippery worm that eats people. We don't need another girls are no longer virgins and therefore monsters got to eat them. Like, we can move on from that. Let's
Yeah.
let's let's remake the cheap comedy that's with good writing, good jokes, not depressing. And I really hope that the same boom we've had from horror we'll have with comedy soon.
I mean, what kind of like strain of comedy are you hoping for? Like, Judd Apatow kind of comedy, like Campus Hillbillies,
Varsity Blues?
Varsity Blues. No, that is the one.
I think, like all things, what we're going to get is going to be what the current generation wants to write and talk about, right? Like Judd
Yeah.
Apatow was the move from the Jim Carrey, Bill Murray slapsticky comedy into his own genre.
Hmm.
And post that, it's kind of been a Netflix comedy of cheap, tacky jokes. You put it on the background, and that's what we've gotten. So I'm excited for
Yeah.
whatever the new thing is. I know it could be cutting edge like Gerard Carmichael, which I don't absolutely love, but I still think it is funny and it's bold. I would prefer it to be a little more, maybe not joke book like The Airplane or Scary Movies, but I think there's an opportunity here for something that's funny to say, like, hey, the world's kind of in a shitty place. It's very depressing at times. Let's just transfer this to our comedy. Like
Yeah.
Bowen Yang, get a little funny. We have Billy Eichner. Be funny, take it a little
Yeah.
different direction. I think we've had some funny shows from the last few years where we've seen Dave and otherwise that have like serious comedy. We have an opportunity for that in the movie space.
Yeah. No, I would agree.
What's your next one?
My next one is the hope of all people who go to the movies. I wish that Santa would help Marvel figure it out this year.
Yeah.
I feel like 2024 was the only movie we got was Deadpool and Wolverine from Marvel, and it was kind of a consequence of the writer's strike where a lot of things just kind of got put on hold or delayed. And to be fair, Deadpool and Wolverine, fun movie, but it was pretty tangentially related to the kind of the story that Marvel Studios is kind of telling right now.
Yeah.
It was kind of more of a wrap up for the Fox universe of movies than anything else. And obviously Marvel's had some misses in the past, or maybe not like outright misses, but just like okay, they have like Ant-Man Quantumania wasn't that good. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And as much as I love the Marvels, like I'm just a fan of Marvel movies, so I like the Marvels. It probably could have been better. I really want Marvel to figure it out this year because they know that they've made some misses post Endgame. And I feel like they've taken time to re-situate themselves.
Yeah.
And based on the trailers that I've seen, at least, Captain America Brave New World looks really fun. It looks really cool. The Thunderbolts looks really cool.
Yeah.
I think that one actually looks better than Captain America Brave New World. And I think Fantastic Four is going to be, I think Marvel was it very intentional about waiting as long as they had to before they had a good story for that one to come out. So I'm optimistic about the Fantastic Four, even though I don't actually like the Fantastic Four in the comics. I never read their stuff. I actually don't care about them as characters very much, but
Yeah.
Marvel, I feel like can make me care. And it's Pedro Pascal, and I believe that he can make me care.
Yep.
So I'm hoping, my wish is that Marvel can figure it out this year and that we can get back on the hype train.
There's a good opportunity for them. And you know what? Even as someone who is not burnt out, but just like, okay, we could use some other new stories, I'd rather have them with their tent poles and bringing people to theaters than live action Disney movies. So,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. Yeah.
Plus, I think it's a great vehicle to get actors their bag to be able to go work in indie movies. Same thing for directors. So,
Yeah.
I share this hope. This is the year. Let's get back at it.
This is the year, Marvel.
Keeping in line with that, I am going to talk about near and dear to my heart, the thorn in my side, Star Wars. Star Wars needs to get its act in order. To be bought for $6 billion from George Lucas all those years ago, Disney did this. They have made their money through a lot of the new trilogy and through Disney Plus, if you want to call it, actually making the money there with Mandalorian and stuff. Okay. But you want to talk about a mismanaged franchise and opportunity? This is should be the biggest bag of biggest bags, and they have continually fumbled it. I listened to a podcast, The Town, with Matt Bellany. He is constantly complaining about this and calling for Kathleen Kennedy to be fired. No, I agree. I think that she is a huge issue. And when you hear about all these different directors and people walking away, it's usually clashes with her. And what she believes, or some of her team believes, is the direction Star Wars should be going. Here's my biggest gripe that I have to call out. They're doing a mix of too much and not enough at the same time, which doesn't
Yeah.
even make sense. Okay, don't give us 3 years between Andor seasons. Don't give us 5 years between movies. The last movie came out 2019. We're not going to get a movie right now until 2026. You can't go 7 years without a Star Wars movie or even a spin-off or anything unless you have a big problem at home, and that's what they have. Dave Filoni is the CCO, Chief Creative Officer. He was put in there last year. He's in charge of Lucasfilm as of last year. Variety reported on that. I just think even then he's kind of an issue at times because he loves what he's doing too much, wants to bring
Yeah.
all of his TV show to life. Anyways, let me just like go over the list of what's quote in development and canceled. Ahsoka Series 2, Jon Favreau's Grogu movie, Andor Season 2, Skeleton Crew, Vision Season 3, that's all 2025. Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie, we've heard nothing
Oh,
about,
right.
presumably not done. James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie, no date, no nothing, who knows? Dave Filoni's Mandalorian verse New Republic movie, no clue what that's about. Charmin Obaye Chinoy's New Jedi Order movie, no clue about that, no date. Simon Kinberg has a whole Star Wars trilogy we've got no news about since he was announced that he was working on it. A Rogue Squadron movie from Patty Jenkins. No news there, slash it could be canceled. She's been making other things in the meantime. They said she hasn't even finished a script. Mandalorian season 4, Book of Boba Fett season 2. Again, why are we even going back to these? Woof. Another Lando movie that Donald Glover's working on that has not been approved. So they're sitting here saying they want to do it. A Rangers of the New Republic TV series that got canceled because of the Wrestler Grail. We won't even go there. We've lost
Right.
a J.D. Dillard, Matt Owens movie. That's been presumably canceled. Ryan Johnson's trilogy is presumably canceled. Kevin Feige wanted to make a Star Wars movie. That has for sure been canceled. And David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, the Game of Thrones guys, their movies have all been canceled as well. It's just a mess.
Damn.
There's too much money at stake and
Yeah.
too many people getting paid for nothing to be getting done. And what has been done
Yeah.
has been middling. So, anyways, my big thing, there's too much
Yeah.
money at play. Get it right, do something. I don't need a Star Wars movie every 3 or 4 months. That's too much. But once a year, give us some shows more frequently. Do something that lands.
Yeah. And don't be afraid of the trolls, like the internet trolls. Like, who cares if movies get review bombed by people online? Like, who cares? Just be bold with your storytelling. Because that was the whole problem with the Acolyte, right? Was the Acolyte was
Yeah.
I thought the Acolyte was a good story, but it would just got review bombed, and executives canceled it because they're afraid of being review bombed.
These executives are so scared, sometimes rightfully so, but I think in general, they just want to keep their jobs so bad that they're just too scared of shareholders. And you're right.
Yeah.
They should just be bold and just greenlight Acolyte season 2 and say, fuck it. We have a good story. Hop on board. I miss the
Yeah.
old days of a TBS series going 4 seasons before they were like, oh, maybe we should cancel it because no one watches it. Make something and tell the story, and then people will hop on board. Seinfeld was
Yeah.
terrible its first season. Season 2 and 3, it's hard to pick up. Season 4 was unstoppable. Blah blah. The end, it was the biggest show of all time. Be bold.
Yeah.
Have guts. They don't have them.
Full agree.
All right, let's hear your final wish for the year.
Here's my final wish for the year. So, a few years ago, when the pandemic happened and Nickelodeon put Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix, it was the summer of Avatar. It was the summer of the pandemic, but also the summer of Avatar, because the whole internet just realized how great that show is and became obsessed with it. And then probably 6 months later, Viacom, who owns Paramount and Nickelodeon, they announced that they created Avatar Studios, which they coaxed Brian and Mike, who were the original creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender, away from the Netflix live action one. They coaxed them away from that and said, "Hey, we've got a bunch of money. Let's just make an Avatar Studios, and you guys can just start telling stories that you want to tell." So they
Yeah.
threw a bunch of money at them. And I feel like last year or the year before, they announced a bunch of projects that they were working on. And 2025 is when at least one of those projects is hopefully going to see the light of day. And it's going to be the sequel series about the next Avatar after Avatar Korra. And based on leaks and stuff, I think that it's slated for a fall release in 2025. And, Avatar: The Last Airbender and that whole universe is just so near and dear to my heart. It's so important to me. And I'm just excited to see what comes out of these storytellers again. Whether it's movies or, series, TV series, I'm just excited to see what happens. And I have high hopes. I have seen there have been some leaks, some character sketches, some concept art, and some maybe storyboards about this new series. And it seems like a pretty radical departure from, or at least a radical reimagining, I should say, of what the Avatar world looks like and how it works. And I'm kind of excited to see it in action. So that's my wish. My final wish for 2025 is that the first season of the next Avatar show sees the light of day.
I was going to say, I looked on Wikipedia since we've been talking. It looks like Ong, Aang,
Bang,
Aang, The Last Airbender.
bang.
There's a theatrical movie directed by Lauren Montgomery that's set for release January 30th, 2026. So as far as a theatrical, that is set there. So that is exciting. And hopefully we will get that series late next year.
Yeah,
Especially since Nickelodeon's kind of dead.
yeah,
And with Paramount being bought by Skydance, there's a place for it to live. So hopefully they keep it
yeah.
alive and running.
So please, Santa, I've been all kinds of nice this year and very little naughty. Please bring it to me.
Please, please, please. That's a good final wish for the year. My last one, I'll keep it real short. God, Buddha, SpongeBob, whoever's in charge, Plasmoids, please just let us finish the Stranger Things franchise and series.
Yeah.
Please. These kids are now drinking on the weekends and, driving fast cars. They're not in high school, okay? We know this. We have been waiting so long. There's no reason it should cost what it costs for these episodes of the show. It's just time for the finale of Stranger Things. So, season 5, they have a couple posters out. There's a lot of interviews. They're starting some of the press cycle to kind of get everyone hyped. The release date is, they said, could premiere in fall 2025, likely October, November. They don't even have a release date set yet.
Oh
Good
no.
God. Just let these kids finish. They've been dealing with this demon for the last almost 10 years. It's just time for it to be done. So that's my
Wow.
hope. It's time for the first season to the final season to be a nice wrapped up bow on it. We hope they don't botch it like Game of Thrones or otherwise. Um,
I mean, how is it
yeah.
possible? How is it possible to have so many years between seasons, right? Like
Yeah.
Stranger Things is a darling. Like people love that show. Like it's not a problem of like funding. So like what is the deal? Like why did it take so long for this to like even reach a conclusion?
It's people have called it peak TV the last few years, and now it's kind of bleak TV. Things have kind of gone downward. But the thing that's carried over from peak TV is we're treating everything like a movie. So movie level shooting times, movie levels, VFX,
Mhm.
movie level everything to make it look cinematic. But
Yeah.
the problem is you should see a hit and trust it and just go back to back, like The Bear did. Say, all right, we're filming two and
Yeah.
three. Netflix has been too afraid to do that. They're too reliant on every single investor's idea of what they should be doing next. They just don't do that. So, first episode of Stranger Things premiered July 15th, 2016, meaning they were probably shooting this in 2015. And it will now be 10 years from the start of filming to the finale. of these kids in high school to get 5 seasons. That's just too crazy. So
That's
yes,
just,
I think they've got to just be more bold and say, no, 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 shoot 2 seasons back to back, give it 6 to 7 months, shoot two more. There's way too much time in between. And these kids have not had gigantic blockbustery movies. You have Finn Wolfhard in Ghostbusters. You have Millie Bobby Brown in the terrible Enola Holmes movies that everyone seems to be fine with.
mhm.
It's just, nah. You should be shooting it back to back. I know it costs a lot of money, but just make it happen. If not, we're running into Millie Bobby Brown is getting married this year, and she's supposed to be, a junior in high school. It's just too
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Too crazy, too insane.
So please, Lord above or wherever else you are, finish Stranger Things. Let it be done.
Santa baby.
Give me a nice Demogorgon. Well, for everyone listening, thanks for listening to a whole year of the Indie Magazine podcast. Continue with us into the next year. We'll have a little more from our Papal series for the Oscar Frontrunner Conclave. We've got some more interviews, as well as a new series we're going to start probably in March of next year. We're going to kind of hint at that and just say we've got some exciting things coming for fans of movies and television. So until then, watch good TV and movies and enjoy the rest of your holiday.